All right, Jason Rona back here at the Indoor National Series Final at Beach RC here in Myrtle Beach. We're here with the main man, Ryan Maifield, here today. We got the Yokomo cars out here this weekend, and Ryan, talk to us a little bit about the year. In the background here, we got the Dirt Nitro Challenge going on. One of the videos from Corey here, and we forget about this is still in the same year. Sometimes it goes by pretty quick. But talk to us about the year so far. It started off with a bang there at Nitro Challenge.
It's been a good year. I've had some ups and downs, had a few wins, a few losses, but that's racing. And the year's, I say it's gone pretty well in total. The Nitro Challenge on the Nitro side went really well, obviously. The Reedy race went really well. I got a second there with the Yokomo vehicles. Won four-wheel drive at the CRC race, so the beginning of the year went well. And the year in its entirety went well, also. So, we've had a lot of new products come through with the JConcepts stuff and with Yokomo, and it's a constant development fight, and I think we've kept up pretty well, so it's gone good.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that's a little interesting for you, we've talked about before, is that, with you running Yokomo on the 10 scale side and then Mugen on the 8 scale side, I know you've come from programs in the past where one company makes all the cars, and the split situation that you're in, it's almost like it kind of breaks the seasons up a little, where it's like you start racing 10 scale, when it's cold out in winter months, and then all of a sudden it's like the 10 scale cars go away, the 8 scales come in, and sometimes you get new parts and new things in between all these events, and explain what it's like to kind of to be in a situation like this where things are being worked on different platforms while you might be racing something else.
Yeah, I think it's actually a benefit, because it's when I'm not driving these vehicles, guys like Shinadachi, even JP Richards, our teammates, and guys back at Yokomo in Japan are developing the products, and they're not always 100% relying on my input. They do heavily rely on what I think and what I feel we need to do, which is nice. I'm grateful for that. But things are still getting done, while I'm not able to drive the cars. And same with the Mugen side. Adam's constantly out there running and driving and putting in the work, and he relays a lot of info back and forth with guys like Robert Battle in Europe, and that all gets back to Japan. And then when we get these prototype parts that the idea, they I come up with the ideas, they come up with ideas, and then we get them, we can test them together when we actually have the opportunity to. And I think it's a nice kind of a sequence of events that goes down, and neither company pressures me if I'm out racing the other company's vehicles, which is nice. There's never that. There's been a nice balancing act there. They both understand that I have commitments somewhere else, and they've worked well together even on the business side of things. So for me, it's been a great partnership in all with everybody working together, and a nice cohesiveness, and I'm happy. It's good.
It's kind of interesting, too, this year is you have dabbled in some stadium truck. You ran some at the beginning of the year. You did the Nationals. And, it's kind of interesting. There was a time when nobody would have ever thought Yokomo would have had a stadium truck. You guys have a stadium truck. You've run that a little bit. Don't have a ton of experience, but you've even run well with the stadium truck.
Yeah, we released the truck this year, and they were definitely a little – they're questioning that decision, but they did it based off my recommendations, Joe Pillar's recommendations. In America, everybody wants to run, multiple vehicles. Europe and Asia, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive is definitely the most popular, the only classes people normally race. So, yeah, we did a pretty small run of trucks. I think they did really well. We sold them all, which is nice. And, stadium truck's a tough class, especially a mod. Stadium truck and stock 13.5, which is the most popular. The trucks, are all pretty equal. They work well. And you put a modified motor in them, they get a little more hairy to drive. And, just with huge front tires, same size front as rear tires, don't have a lot of aerodynamics in the back of the truck like we do the buggy, so it makes them a little more difficult. But, yeah, I think the truck's done well. I definitely haven't put as much time into the truck as I probably should have. But overall, I think it wasn't a bad introduction for Yokomo to get into one of the truck classes, and we'll see. Anytime we develop this car, it's going to carry over into the that vehicle. So now that everything's kind of calming down at Yokomo, we can maybe get a little update to the truck.
I mean, one of the things that always stands out to me during the year was you got to win at Hobby Action this year, 4-wheel drive, and it's obviously your local track, your home track, one of your sponsors. But hard track for you to run at. Never seems to completely gel with you, but this year things have been being a little different there. You got the 4-wheel win at Desert Classic, and then you ran well at the INS there. And anything special coming together at that track, or just kind of getting more used to the cars and being there more often, I guess?
Yeah, I'm not sure. If I look back on the history of, the tracks, my local tracks, and having big events there, the Cactus Classic, I had a lot of, success there. Early, I didn't have a lot of success. I kind of had to grow into it. I think I've always carried the weight of the pressure, being your home track and, kind of being the local pro that, the locals really want you to win. My family's there, stuff like that. So it's kind of the same with Desert Classic. I don't know, just going there, I just feel like I need to perform better. Luckily, Spencer Rifkin always holds it down for Team Arizona. So, but yeah, this year, with our Aqua compound, it's been a great compound and great tire choice for us at that track, and making improvements to the vehicles and kind of just learning how to drive there. It's difficult because, like, on test days and practice days, the track's nowhere near what it would be at the event, so it's hard to actually practice and test on that, and it's a very unique surface at that track. So I think I feel like I have a couple notes that I've been able to jot down after a couple decent runs there, and when it is race time, and maybe we can continue the good runs.
And then we kind of rolled into summer. You had a great weekend at the Roar Nationals. It was good, great, could have been even better, but that happens. I mean, you got I don't know, one of the best truggy races probably that we've ever seen. You and Spencer going right down to the finish line, and I was able to steal that truggy from you. It's still at our shop. I believe we got the trophy in the truck, which is kind of nice. But talk to us about that Nationals a little bit. You had a great weekend there, and Buggy, you were right there too. And unfortunately, you just didn't get through. We talked about it a little bit before in a podcast or something that the Buggy semi didn't go great, but overall a good Nationals.
Yeah, the Roar Nats went well. I was able to TQ truggy and just drove my race, and me and Spencer had a great battle, and just put in a clean 45 minutes and, got the win. It was nice for the team. It was nice with the new truck, nice for MX engines, JConcepts. So, and then we rolled into Buggy. What was crazy is you basically walk off the driver's stand after winning the Truggy main, and you got to just go straight back up to run your semi-practice for your Buggy. So, the Buggy motor was like acting a little weird for the semi-practice, so I took my truck motor out from the main and thought, well, this thing just ran perfect, so I'm just going to put it in my Buggy. And, well, it ran perfect for about 12 minutes or something, and somehow it chunked the back plate, the rod, and the crankshaft spinning, took a piece out of the back plate of the motor. Irony to this is the MX actually makes a back plate that's hardened back there, so this doesn't happen, and I didn't run it because it's like 20 grams heavier. So I was like, I don't want this extra weight. Well, it ended up costing me an opportunity at a Buggy Nationals. Hard lesson to learn. It's a very rare thing that happens, but it can happen. I got to sit and watch my teammate Spencer basically dominate the main event, and it was a little kind of crappy standing on the side watching, but I was happy that he was able to get the job done. Cavalieri came home second, so it was a good race for JConcepts, and I was there rooting on the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It is frustrating. You can see it. It's frustrating when it's happening, and it's like, the way it goes down, but you did make it a good weekend, winning the truck class, and obviously I forget what it was at the time, but I remember you TQing or coming close to TQing 3 of the 4 rounds of qualifying in Buggy,
Yep.
And it was just like a tenth of a second here or there. It's like I think Dakota got you 1 round and somebody else got you another round, but it was like a tenth, and you're close to TQing 3 out of 4 rounds there.
Yeah, and it would have been even worse if I would have done that and then had motor issues in the main while leading the main. So it's just sometimes it's not meant to be. Crazy things happen, and that weekend I guess Buggy just wasn't meant to be. Like you said, it was like 4 tenths combined over 3 rounds of qualifying that I missed out on TQ. So. Yeah, I mean, I showed speed. We put in a good performance, made the car work on a track that typically you wouldn't think a Mugen car would work on, and we worked well as a team in the Mugen camp and with JConcepts getting the right tire package on it. So yeah, overall it was good. You didn't really have anything to show for it at the end, but we all know what went down and how fast we were.
So, kind of moving along, we switch around. You run some 10-scale vehicles to get into the summer. Had a great Roar Nationals. Started off a little bit rough. It wasn't easy, but then you get kind of get rolling. You get the setups dialed in and get into that competitive mode, and then you pull a TQ and 4-wheel there, and a great main result in 2-wheel.
Yeah, it started out a little crazy. You know, you go to these tracks you've never been to, you're not too sure, and basically the trend nowadays is you're essentially running slicks, you know, off the bat. So I've been a little resistant to that situation. I'm changing my outlook on that at the moment. But yeah, we started a little rough. The first day of qualifying did not go well at the Nationals, but we sat down as a team and you know, I felt like I was having to drive the track, you know, the way that you would drive a carpet track. The grip was, you know, not as much as carpet, but pretty damn close. So we basically just threw carpet setups on the four-wheel drive car, and it made it work, you know, and we kept hammering away at the two-wheel. I think I ended up qualifying fifth in two-wheel and got third out, you know, in the mains. And we definitely didn't get the two-wheel where it needed to be, but we got a lot closer. And the four-wheel drive, yeah, it was awesome. You know, TQ the last two rounds of qualifying. Ended up winning two mains, and you know the car was phenomenal. I'm running the same car here this weekend. Ran it in practice, feels pretty good. So kind of the same situation. We're starting out on slicks. It's just that's racing now. Just gotta accept it. And I think once you get past the bummer of sanding tires, it's actually pretty fun driving. So it should be good.
Yeah, and then little bit, not a lot of time to prep for the big worlds we had in Slovakia, which, not everybody really knew what was going to go on there. You know, we all had our doubts. We got there and we're like, man, this track is really crazy. It's huge. Yeah. It was loose. You guys didn't get to do a lot of running because, like you said, we're racing on slicks in America, full traction, and then all of a sudden we're going there to hand out tires, whole shots. You guys are on pin tires, and it's like, well, we'll
closed
just
cell foam.
Yeah, we'll just
or open cell foam. Sorry,
we'll just see what we got, right? And you had a good result there, especially in two wheel. Not a lot you could do in the mains. You kind of get freight training out there, and you can make maybe one or two moves per main. But what was the experience like going to Slovakia and running the Yokomo stuff out there?
Yeah, I mean, based off what we, Shin and Lee Martin went to the warm-up and gathered some data, much as they could, obviously. And, we didn't have the opportunity to go over there beforehand just with all the other, events we have to be at. And Shin made a lot of new parts, thinking this was going to be the route we needed to go down, and I think he did a good job. We were definitely, I would say, the second best company overall as far as the two-wheel drive class goes. Obviously Associated finishing first and second, that's pretty good. They did a lot of work as well, and our guy Yusuke got third, and I got fifth. So and Cavalieri was in the main as well. I think we made a lot of good. We made some good hard charges there in two-wheel drive. It was like you said, it was very tough to drive. It was super loose. And then we rolled into the four-wheel drive class. We showed up with a completely different platform. And, the goal was to try to test both chassis layouts. We weren't really able to do that because you get in the mode of practicing and you're like, all right, I was pretty fast that time. And then all of a sudden you got to get your chassis stickered, and you can't change a chassis. You can't go to the different layout anymore. And, it ended up kind of biting us, but that's racing. The world's is tough. You get one shot at it, and you either have a good result or a bad result. So I think we, as a team, showed good speed. We didn't get a win. We got one podium. At least two cars in each main, which is nice. And I thought overall it wasn't a bad performance based on as far as how crazy the surface was. We don't race on those surfaces, so overall I don't think it was a fail. And we learned a lot, and if we ever get to that situation again, we'll have some more information.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I remember, I don't remember who brought this up, but after you won both classes at the Worlds in China, somebody brought up that put Yokomo in as the second most world championship titles of any company out there. So obviously, throughout the years, they had never won a two-wheel world title. You're the only one to do that for them. But them having the second amount of world titles, that's a pretty big accomplishment for them in general, considering how long Associated's been around. They had the advantage of Masami throughout the years, winning so many.
Yeah.
But what's it like kind of thinking about that? I mean, there's the TLRs, and there's all these companies that have been really hitting it hard for many years, but Yokomo's right there in that second spot of overall world titles.
Yeah, I mean, Yokomo is a proven company. They weren't really around in the U.S. much through kind of the mid-2000s there. And I think people maybe forgot, or a lot of the newer crowd have never heard of them. But like we've talked about many times, through the '90s, Associated guys, they had a two-wheel drive and they ran Yokomo four-wheel drive cars, and the Yokomo guys would run Associated two-wheel drive cars. So Yokomo was around; it was a big name, especially in that time, and and they've been kind of there for a long time, they were the dominant company in the EOS side of things on the carpet. Really, basically, taking a hold, accepting that the carpet thing is happening and making vehicles specifically for carpet. And, they've done well surviving in a tough industry and making the moves when they need to make moves. And, when they hired me, they kind of said, we want to build something in America and we're going to let you do it. And, if you think somebody can, help us grow the team and stuff like that, we brought Joe Pillars on board. Obviously, he's great at, the social media stuff and communicating with team guys, and he's done a great job. We have quite a few drivers now. We show up to every race, and we have at least 6, 7, 8 guys running the cars, which isn't as much as some of these companies, but that's okay. We're here having a great time. We can communicate well with each other, and it's been good. And a few changes now with them, but as far as our side of things, it's all the same. We're going to keep it rolling.
Yeah, I mean, that was the other thing I was going to ask about. You recently just went to Japan. You had a planned trip there all year long that you and Joe went over. You said you got there. It was almost like a normal race. You got there, you flew on like a Wednesday, came back on a Monday.
Yep.
But you had a one-day race. You got to practice. You won the two-wheel class. And what was it like being there at Utabi, meeting the new owners and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, it was nice. Utabi Arena, I'm sure a few of you guys would know it. You've been there, maybe you've seen pictures. It's a great facility, and we got to meet the new owners of Yokomo. They're very they don't know a ton about the RC industry, but they're very hungry to learn, and they asked all the right questions, and they told us what we wanted to hear, which was perfect. We got to sit down with them. We got to drive our cars. We got to go to dinner. We did all the things we like to do, so it was a great trip. And, they reassured us that everything's good. We're moving forward. We're going to keep developing cars, keep making cars. They're going to keep letting us do what we're doing here in America, and they're going to keep supporting us. And they're keeping Shin. They're keeping our engineers. They're keeping it all rolling in the same direction, and that's good. So, anytime there's any sort of sale with a company, it's a little scary. Associated went through that at one point in their life, and people, kind of the same thing. It was a little scary, a lot of rumors going around. So with today's social media, one little rumor can turn into a whole, hashtag or whatever. And, that obviously happened. But the truth is we're good. Most people will never know it even happened. And hopefully we'll be better for it.
And then, kind of after that, you've done some nitro racing, get back with the Mugen team, got back with Adam Drake. You went to a JBRL. You did the Buggy Land race, which kind of, to me, came a little out of nowhere. Like, all of a sudden, it was like, oh, we're having our Buggy Land race at Thunder Alley, which, we used to go there in the mid-2000s quite a bit. It was one of your favorite tracks, and you got a chance to kind of go back there. Joey built the track, I think, along with the guys from Buggy Land.
Yep.
So what was that event like, and getting out there and running a little nitro at Thunder Alley again?
Yeah, it's fun. Thunder Alley is always a great track, and you never know with the weather. It was windy and cold, and it's a tough environment, but it's good for testing and seeing what how your equipment is going to stack up. I use that race to really just try a lot of new setup stuff that I've been kind of doing at my local track, and I thought it was it was overall a decent weekend. I didn't get the win. Tebow ran a fantastic race in the main, just flawless. Drove away from me. But I put in a good race. I put in a solid second place run. I walked off the driver's stand, satisfied. Obviously, you want to get the win all the time, but sometimes somebody's better than you, so it's all good. But yeah, it was good. I had a great time. Like you said, got to work directly with Adam. Learned some stuff with the engine program. Learned some stuff with the car program. We ran through some different tire compounds. So overall, it was a good weekend for learning and testing and get a decent result.
And then kind of looking towards 2020, I mean, it comes up quick. We got Nitro Challenge going on in the background, the video here. But what are the guys that are following the Mugen and the Yokomo, what do they got to look forward to product-wise? You said you've been testing some things. We got anything on the two-wheel or the 8 scales that guys can look forward to seeing coming up here in the future?
Yeah, Yokomo's hard at work currently trying to get a four-wheel drive out. We're hopefully going to try to get another run of the old car, just to kind of fill this void. And then somewhere in the March, April, we'll see an updated kit for the four-wheel drive car. And then two-wheel drive car is the DTM3. Nothing's really changing with that at the moment. We do have some aftermarket parts coming through the pipeline, like an all-aluminum steering system. I know a lot of people have been having issues with that. But we do have a full aluminum steering option coming. We have some optional rear camber link parts that are going to be coming out soon, which just changes the location of the rear camber link slightly. And then with the Mugen stuff, I think, it's World's Year, so there's got to be something coming. I know me and Adam have talked about what we would like to see happen, but definitely not much talks of if it's, happening anytime soon. So, yeah, like I said earlier, it's always development, constantly changing,
Yeah.
constantly trying to get better. The other teams are doing it, so we got to do it. And, it makes it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I know you went to Australia with the Mugen guys, and you guys kind of surprised everybody with some piston stuff. You kind of had some things you're working on. You were probably, from start to finish in Australia, you got third there, but start to finish, you were probably the fastest guy from practice all the way to the mains, the most consistent, and you guys had some great stuff there. And the thing with the Mugen stuff, it's kind of strange because they make stuff all the time, but they're very consistent, and they don't just throw stuff out every 6 months. Like it's a gradual process, and then when it comes out, you look at it and you're like, man, is this really any different? Like the cars always look very similar, but that car is still always the one that everybody wants to beat.
Yeah, they make a lot of prototype parts, actually. Like, we get quite a few, things that Adam's asked for, and the best is when they make something that's wrong, then it's wrong. It's cast to the side. It's never thought of again. So that's why that when you get the new kit, there's a lot of small changes because they've made huge changes through the prototyping process and the testing process, and they don't work.
Yeah.
So they don't want to just put them in the kit just because it's new.
Yeah.
They want to keep putting out what they know works, make small adjustments to make it better, you know what I mean? When they can, make it a little stronger, a little lighter, whatever the case may be. And that's kind of what we need to, we're getting into that program now with Yokomo. In the beginning we had to take big swings at it and, get the cars to where they needed to be. Now they're pretty, darn close. So I think we can just kind of we got good platforms, we got good base setups, and we can just kind of chip away a little bit at a time. So I think I'm in a good position. I'm happy. I'm happy with all my sponsors. We've had a great year together.
Yep.
Hopefully roll into 2020 and keep the momentum going. And, look forward to any of the new products that Yokomo Mugen comes out with. JConcepts should be good.
All right, Ryan. Well, thanks again for the update. Awesome year again, and good luck this weekend. We're looking forward to watching the racing this weekend. It's going to be awesome.
Yep.
We got some of the best guys, if not the best guys in the country here this weekend, so it should be fun and exciting. So stay tuned live, and these guys are going to be tearing it up.
Yep, thanks.